Well, North Korea has confirmed the launch of a new solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile, the Hwasong-18. Local media say it would change the country's strategic deterrence and nuclear counterattack capabilities, as it could help Pyongyang deploy missiles more quickly in the event of a conflict. South Korea believes North Korea is still developing its new solid-fuel propellant and that it will likely need more time and effort to master the technology. Well, for more analysis, joining us live now is Gordon Flake. He's CEO at Perth U.S. Asia Centre, a non-for-profit think tank at the University of Western Australia. Thank you for your time today. So Pyongyang confirming that the launch involved a solid-fuel ICBM. What makes this type of missile so worrying, and what capabilities does the North now have?
So look, when you look at missiles, you're primarily concerned with how far they can go, their range. You're also concerned with their payload, what they can carry. And in this case, you're also concerned with how quickly they can be launched. This is the first time that North Korea has launched a solid-fueled intercontinental ballistic missile. 6 years ago, they launched a liquid-fueled one, but a liquid-fueled missile takes a lot of time to kind of put on a launch pad, usually a permanent launch pad, bring over trucks with fuel. You see the fuel being pumped into it. And so it gives adversaries a window of time to know where it is and how it's going to be launched. In this case, it was the first time they've launched a solid fuel intercontinental ballistic missile from a mobile launch pad, from a truck, which, as you can understand, really gives a lot less reaction time to those countries that might be concerned about the launch of a missile. And it indicates that the North Korean missile program is continuing afoot. In fact, if anything, that is developing at a far faster rate than most people would like to believe. So it's a deep concern, not just to South Korea or Japan, but to the region as a whole.
You know, on top of all of that, Gordon, yesterday, Japan inaccurately predicted the trajectory of Pyongyang's missile because reports say it disappeared from radar immediately after it was detected. How does this development complicate counterattack strategies of the North's neighbors? And do you think air defenses need to be bolstered in the region now?
So one of the things that North Korea has been doing now for years is that in testing longer range missiles, where they've got a lot of country around them, they can't really test them to the north because they don't want them to be landing in China. If they go immediately to the south, they're flying over South Korea, or if they go slightly to their east, they're going to be flying over Japan. So they've largely been testing these missiles on what they call lob trajectory. So they're not intended to go their full range of which could be anywhere from 10,000, or in the case of this one, we're not sure exactly, but probably closer to 17 or 18,000 kilometers. And if that's the case, they're not going to test it to its full distance. They're going to try to lob it. In this case, they go up high and they come down once again in what we would call the East Sea or the Sea of Japan. And you're absolutely correct, is going in the trajectory of Hokkaido. In the end, it didn't go that far, but any missile with that level of range and the ability to go that high is deeply concerning. And obviously it does impact our ability to respond initially or to it even once it's in flight.
So you do think air defenses need to be adapted to at this point?
Technology does. It becomes much more difficult. And again, if you think about, these are not new technologies. The United States mastered solid fueled missiles back in the late 1950s, so 75 years ago. But there's always been a particular challenge about how you stop an intercontinental ballistic missile, which is coming down at that high rate of speed. A relatively, shorter range missile, when you think about missile defenses, you're talking about missiles that are going on a different trajectory, a much more level trajectory, and which are not going as fast. And so, there does need to be a serious discussion about how you counter, if even possible, something coming at that trajectory and that speed. And again, that's not unique to North Korea. That's an issue that we've been wrestling with globally for the last decades.
Some have called Pyongyang's recent barrage of tests a psychological campaign of provocation. Do you think that's the case? Are these launches just bluster, or is North Korea actually getting closer to a strike?
Oh, there's no question. It is both, right? I mean, this was yet another take your daughter to work day. So Kim Jong Un was there with his daughter at the launch site. He stated that this was going to put extreme fear, extreme uneasiness and horror into the minds of enemy countries. And so it is intended, like all deterrent devices are, to put fear in the enemy, if you will, in that regard. But it's not just a bluff. I mean, we've seen this steady march in the progress of North Korea's program and missile program for decades now. In fact, at a pace that far outpaces many others. The transition from liquid-fueled to solid-fueled ICBMs in North Korea has taken just about 6 years from engine test to actual launch, about 7 or 8 years. And that's far faster than France did it, far faster than China did it, far faster than India did it. So by no means is this a bluff. This is a serious program that continues to develop and has real security ramifications for this region.
Yesterday's launch came ahead of a trilateral defense meeting between Japan, the U.S., South Korea that's set for today. What reaction do you expect to see from them? And do you anticipate North Korea to respond after this trilateral meeting?
No, I mean, I tend to be one who discounts connectivity between the timing of North Korean launches and external statements or demands. Occasionally it happens, but generally North Korea launches according to the technological requirements of their development program. So when they're ready, they launch. In this case, it's inevitable that treaty allies of the United States, like South Korea and Japan, are going to be looking to the United States to restate, and it already has, the firmness of its alliance commitments to both South Korea and Japan, and their commitment to extend what we would call extended deterrence, or the U.S. nuclear umbrella over those two countries to defend them against potential North Korean attack, or at least to indicate that there would be regime or nation-ending consequences were North Korea to attack either two of those. And that's what I expect. I don't really expect a counter-response escalation. It's about as escalatory as it could be right now with this most recent test.
And before we let you go, I want to pick up on your point of the take your daughter to work day. We saw those pictures of Kim Jong Un with his young daughter next to him, the second time that she's been revealed. What do you think her appearance this time around tells us about her significance to the regime?
Well, look, for the 20 plus now 30 years that we've been dealing with North Korea's nuclear program and their missile program, there has been hopes at times that this was just a negotiating ploy, that they could roll it back somehow in the process of negotiating. By putting their nuclear capability into their constitution, by bringing the next generation again, this is signaling quite clearly that this is a generational endeavor. It's not a one-time thing. It's not bluffing. It's not a ploy. North Korea is seeking to develop their own long-range missile, intercontinental ballistic missile, and ultimately nuclear strike capability as part of their own national defense.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for your time today. That was Gordon Flake, CEO at Perth U.S. Asia Centre at the University of Western Australia.